All right.
Hi, today I am with women's Christian fiction author Dianna Lanser. Welcome to Between the Lines, Dianna.
Thank you, Jennifer. So grateful for you to let me talk and share my story a little bit.
Well, I'm excited. Your cover, I will jump into that in a minute. I just discovered that Dianna used the same cover designer that I did, and I just love it's Hannah Linder, for those of you who don't know, and her cover is stunning. I'm going to show this cover because I'm afraid I put it on her phone because Diana's at work, so she can't show it as easy. She didn't have a book, and I just lost it. See if I can show the cover. This is the cover of her book. I know there's kind of a glare on it, but isn't that beautiful? You see the little barn in the background and the colors and everything. It's a stunning, stunning book. I
Mm.
love that.
Yeah.
So it says where tragedy and faith collide is her line, and we talked about that because my tagline is where crisis and Christ collide. So Diana,
Uh-huh.
I already discovered we have a lot. We have a lot in common, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell about you. Let's hear what your story is. How did you get
Um,
started writing?
yeah, my story. So I did not ever think that I would write a novel. I did journal as a child, uh, but I think maybe that's kind of what helped. So my story was I had experienced the loss of my parents when I was in my 20s,
Mm.
and kind of I God walked alongside me, and I had strong faith. But as I got older, actually I read The Shack, and it just
Oh.
tore me to bits. And then it made me realize that, oh boy, I have some latent things that I need to reckon with God. And so then also my husband and I were going through some lean years, and
Yeah.
I started this habit of walking, started making up this story in my head. And it was kind of based on Praise You in This Storm by
Mhm.
Casting Crowns.
Love that song.
Yeah, yeah, me too. So I was feeling a little guilty that I was making this story up in my head and when I should have been praying. My husband and I have 5 children, and at the time they
Oh,
were
wow.
little. Yeah. And so this was a break that I had of just walking, but I should have been praying. I felt guilty about that. I thought, oh, I should be spending time with the Lord. So I confessed this to my sister-in-law, told her a little bit about the story that I was making up in my head, and she's a big reader, and she said, oh, you should write it down. So I thought, oh, okay. I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a try. And then wrote a few chapters, and my mother-in-law, I gave it to my mother-in-law to read, and she sent me to Calvin's Festival of Faith and Writing. And there I sent my chapters in to the special class that you could take.
Hmm.
And I got into the class, and the author who led the class, Lawrence Dorr, he's now passed away. He kind of picked up my writing as an example. And so there was like all these little affirmations along the way. And that's kind of how I got started. I joined a writers group, and we critiqued each other's work. Um, yeah, and I probably the best thing that I did was have my book professionally edited once it was done. And actually, I had uh, many people, editors, read it.
Hmm.
And the story is on my website. Like, if you would like to read the story of how somebody who's not a writer became a writer.
So
And
you're writing story, not the book that you have, but your writing story is on your
my
web.
writing story is on my
You can
website.
write about
Yeah,
your journey. Yeah. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And,
Um,
and I'll put that link in the show notes so everybody will be able to reach that and the link for the book.
oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how the story got started. And it's kind of based on my experience with loss and also my experience with God walking alongside me. My story is not as tragic as Maya's. Maya is the main character in my book as her story. And the story is pretty hard. I hate people who read the book say, wow, that was a really hard read. Um, so I kind of wish I hadn't made it that hard, but at the same time, that's life. We do. sometimes it will experience a Job
Yeah.
experience, and
I hear you.
things just hit you, and then another thing will hit you, and another thing will hit you till you get to the point of, where are you, God? Do you see
Right.
me? Just kind of like Hagar in the desert.
Yeah.
And but God does see
Yes.
us.
And he uses
And
that. I mean, I was just thinking,
yeah.
and I don't know if you ever came to this conclusion when you were walking all those times and you were feeling guilty because you felt you should have been praying. But don't you
Mm.
think God was putting that story on your heart?
I do. I do now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I have the story, and now, and just through writing it, it cemented a lot of things in my heart that, wow, yeah, God is good. He does bring people into our life to help us when we're stumbling. He provides our church and our pastors to walk alongside us as well. And family, even though families sometimes stumble with us because
Yeah.
they're feeling the same thing that we're going through.
Right.
But yeah, it's God. I think the point of the book is, life is really hard, but God is faithful.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how long were you working on this story before you finished it? I mean, I wasn't sure. You said you were walking, you had 5 kids, so you were really busy with your life, but how long ago was
Yeah.
that you initially got that idea for this book?
Yeah, I think I started writing it in 2006, maybe.
Oh, it's
And
been a
maybe,
while.
yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah. And that was when my kids were little. And probably the whole story was done maybe in 6 years, but then I shelved it for a while because I thought, I don't want this to be an idol. I don't want this to get in the way of my family. And then I picked it back up, and then I would tweak the characters a little bit, and because I would have it edited, and then I would tweak it. So it was probably a 10 to 12 year process.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
When you think
Yeah.
about trying to crank out a lot of books, and it takes, I mean, the first time I remember starting to write and getting when I started writing when my kids were little, I was writing books and they were terrible. They were just, nothing had happened in my life. I had no depth to them. So I never did anything with them. But when I
Mm,
sat down, when I went through my Job experience, so to speak,
mm,
I had already decided my husband had said, if God's put it on your heart to write, don't you think that's what you should be doing? And I was teaching
mm.
middle school at the time.
Oh,
He said, I think you should at least take a year if that's what you want to do and see where it goes. So I
wow.
did that. And by the end of the year, I still hadn't written anything because I was so scared to get started. And
Mm,
then my brother committed suicide. And
ah,
as I was speaking at his funeral, it was like God put it on my heart. This is the story you're supposed to write.
mm, mm,
So it's kind of funny because my older sister said, "Well, what are you going to do after that one's done? I mean, you can't, where are you going to get your next story from?" I said, "I don't know. It'll come up." And God's
mm,
faithful because I just kept coming up and coming up. Because you can
mm.
use that angst, you can use that emotion in all
Sure.
multitude of stories. You don't have to have a tragedy happen to you every year to crank out another story,
Or,
thankfully.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So do you feel your story at the end gives people hope?
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I don't want to give it
spoil.
away.
Right.
Yeah. 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 But
But it does.
yeah, it definitely does. Yes. I
And
feel like the emotion, there's a lot of emotion in the story, and I think it comes um, kind of in waves, but at the end, it's probably the most difficult part of the book. But then that's where the big hope is revealed
yeah.
too. Yeah, and the resolution. And there's a few people in the book who struggle, and we know that people who struggle are our best helpers because they understand.
Hmm.
So those were some of the heroes come in at the end to help the main character, Maya. Um, there's another little part of the story which I don't know that I learned as I was doing research. So the girl is actually from Australia, and while she lives or lived as a child on a cattle station. So I was doing research for about cattle stations, ran across this term called the stolen generation. And what I found out was a stolen generation was a time, it was like in the, I think maybe 1800s to 1970s, that the Australian government rounded up Aboriginal children and sent them to foster homes and boarding schools and mission schools, just to integrate them into white society.
Hmm.
And I was shocked. I was so shocked by this. And then I thought, well, what happened in the United States? And same thing. When I Googled on that, same thing happened. And I'm like, why didn't I learn this in school? Why didn't my children learn this in school? None of them had this in their studies. So I thought, okay, I need to write about this. So that is also in the story
Okay.
too. So the whole one of the Maya's boyfriend is Native American, and it just kind of the story also tells how colonialism still affects Native Americans and Aboriginal people too.
Wow.
So, but it's hopeful.
Yeah.
And I did have a Native American pastor. He served as the cultural consultant on my book because I didn't want anything to be offensive
Right.
to the Native American people. So that was helpful. So hopefully, if there are any Native American readers, hopefully you don't find it offensive. Hopefully you find it helpful. And yeah.
Oh, wow. So 20 years in the making, really. And what do you
Mhm.
find is the hardest part of writing for you? Is it the plotting? Is it the characters? It's what part of that do you feel is the most difficult for you?
I think the most difficult thing is getting started.
Yeah.
You
Blank,
know,
a blank screen's hard, isn't it?
right, right. Yeah. And I just read an article today that, which I actually did when I was writing my book, is writing with pen, or I wrote with pencil and paper. So I think when I sit down to write, I'm going to turn off my computer. I
Oh,
think maybe that
really?
will help me uh, get my brain. I always call it like I have to get my brain in the zone
Hmm.
to write. Um, So I'm going to try that. So I think that's the hardest part for me is just sitting down, getting started because there's always something like I should check, call my kids, see how they're doing, see how the grandkids are doing.
Don't
Um,
you think that procrastination it happens when you're not sure what you're going to write, so you find other things to do to fill the time? So,
yeah,
yeah.
that's true. Yeah. And I kind of like the sequel. I have the sequel all kind of planned out in my head. So I know how it's going to go. Um, and I have like the first chapter written, which I think is beautiful and I love it. Um, but it's just making, not making time, just sitting down and doing it, getting started is the hardest part for me.
So when you
So,
say you're going to write with pencil and paper, are you saying you're going to write your whole book in pencil and paper?
um, I
Wow.
may. I'm
That'll
gonna see how
focus.
it goes.
That
It's,
would kill me.
I know. Um, so I did that because like when my kids were little, I would go to their sports events or their play practice or whatever, and I just take my paper and pencil and I could just take that, put it in my pocket and then write. Of course, that was before I had a laptop.
Yeah,
I didn't have, well, did I? Yeah, I think I just had like a desktop, back in 2006 or whatever. So times have changed, but
they've
yeah,
changed. I can't
yeah.
imagine trying to do that. I think my hand would cramp up and it would take me forever.
Well, actually mine would too. Yeah.
It would be really hard. So, you are obviously, I'm guessing, a plotter then. You said you have this story all planned out in your head, so you obviously like to
Mhm.
plot.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
working, you said you're working full time on top of everything else.
Part-time. Yeah, I work 30 hours a week. Yeah.
That's pretty close to full time. And you have 5 kids, but they're grown, but you have grandkids, right?
and I have grandchildren. Yeah. So my oldest daughter, she has a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then two 1-year-olds. She had twins. So I
Wow.
try to go over there once or twice a week after work, and help them out.
So do
So
your kids all live
busy.
close by?
They do.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're blessed. Well, you don't have to tell me exactly what town, but where are you located? What's
Near Grand Rapids, Michigan.
okay. I
Yeah.
should have caught the accent. You have a little bit of a Michigan accent going on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
how funny. That's interesting. My son is in Tokyo, so
Oh,
I never
wow.
see him, but
No. Does
again,
he have children?
no, and he
No.
never will. My daughter lives about an hour away. She's a research librarian at Tennessee State University, and she
Oh,
doesn't have
wow.
kids and won't have kids. I have kids who didn't want kids, so what are you
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
do? You know?
Right. Yeah. Just have to adopt somebody else's
Oh, I
kids,
do.
grandchildren.
I teach Sunday school with the 4 and 5 year olds. It's the highlight
Oh,
of my week. So
that's the
yeah,
best.
I get
Oh,
connected with all the little ones at church, and I love it. And I
that's
start
great.
thinking, God puts things on our heart. Like for me, my
Mm,
ministry is writing, and I've written a lot
yes.
of books, and I've had the opportunity to do that. If I
Yes.
had grandchildren, I probably wouldn't.
Right.
I would be
Right.
taking the time. And I'm not saying
For
that
sure.
I'm glad I didn't have them, but God has a plan for
Yeah.
each one of us, and He knows ahead of time how that's going to play out. So
Yeah.
He put that on my heart. If I had grandchildren in the midst of all this, I probably would have given up writing because like
Right.
all my friends that have grandkids, they're pretty inundated with the kids. It's a
Yeah.
full-time thing with them. So and I imagine for
Yeah.
you too, it'd be hard. So that does slow
Mm.
your writing down, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah. It sure does. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then when do you find time to write?
Most of well, right now my writing is journaling. I've done that, I don't know, for well, since I was in middle school. So that's basically the writing that I do right now. So,
Did I
and
see
I do some blog writing, and I write book reviews for people. So if anybody wants their book reviewed, let me know. I like to do that. I like to read
everybody, are you
books.
kidding? Everybody wants their book reviewed.
I know,
What a
which
silly
I will.
question.
Yeah, I will. I was looking at your books, and I thought, oh, I should read a few of your books and write some reviews.
That would be great.
'Cause they,
Do you do Kindle Unlimited?
I don't.
Yeah.
No,
You
I
get a
like to
lot.
hold the book in my hand.
Well, the idea is that the nice thing about Kindle Unlimited is you can get a lot of books on your tablet if you want to read and review. If I'm cheap. Like I love having a book in my hand too, but if I
Yeah,
can get it for free, or
right.
for like a subscription, I will do that. Partly
Yeah.
because if I start a book and if I get into the first few chapters, and
Hmm.
I'm a harsh critic, I have such a hard time. I used to read voraciously, and now that
Yeah.
I write, when I have a book and I'm like, okay, that doesn't even make sense, or the plot's
Mm.
kind of unbelievable, or I I will abandon the book, and I don't want to pay good
Okay.
money for a book and then turn around and abandon it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say I'm not a picky reader. I think I'm easily entertained, I think. And right now I'm reading a book. Uh, I can't remember what the title is. And the story is really good. But I thought, oh, she should have had an editor.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but it's okay. I like the story and I'm happy to write a review, for her. And
We
yeah.
all have different personalities. I'm anal retentive and I'm a rule keeper. And if you break the rules and I see that you're not, if you're head hopping all over the place or whatever, I get frustrated by that. That's just my
Yeah,
sin nature.
you're
Not,
right.
I'm not as
Yeah.
easily, um, yeah, entertained. Yes, I'd love to be entertained, but I also love
Mhm.
good writing. There are some authors that
Yeah.
I would read anything they wrote.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Yeah, for sure. And I think, like a good book is gonna provoke some emotion and it's
exactly.
gonna change the reader. It's gonna help the reader and change the reader. And it's also gonna allow the reader to escape reality for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I do get that. It's like we do want to read. We only have limited time on Earth, so we do want to read books that are going to change us, that are going to help us
Right.
and lead. point us to Jesus and make us hungry to read the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best story in the world, right? All the stories in the Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So
reading through Leviticus right now, and it's just,
it's a
yay.
little dry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I'm facilitating a women's Bible study at our church on Wednesday nights, and we started Revelation with Jen
oh wow.
Wilkin. And Jen Wilkin is probably the best Bible. Have you ever done a class with her? She's like,
Yeah.
do you
Doing
have?
this one right now.
I can
Sermon
hold
on
it
the
up. I
Mount.
can't see it.
Oh, Sermon on the Mount.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
Abide, and then we finished that, and somebody said, "Well, I want to do Revelation." My goodness, the number of people that piled in on that. We had to break it into two classes because we couldn't fit them all. So we have one on
Wow.
Wednesday night, one on Friday. And oh my word, she is such a good teacher. And
She
I have these
is.
people are like, I feel like I'm in a college class. I mean, her studies are in depth anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Revelation, it's
Oh,
it's amazing to me what she can pull out of that. And I've read Revelation several times. I've read through the Bible several times, but Revelation, I even read it with a John
mm,
MacArthur two-volume thing, line by line, and I didn't get as much out of it as I'm getting out of it with her. She's
yeah.
incredible.
She is gifted. She's anointed.
She is,
Yeah. God
definitely.
has given her a gift to understand his heart and his word. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah, blows me away.
yeah.
Yeah.
She
The things
might.
that I'm learning about Sermon on the Mount, it's like, oh, wow.
So are you doing it in a group or are you doing it by yourself?
Group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Women's group.
And you
Yeah.
have the videos in the back, like the
Yes.
access to them.
Yeah.
I love that. It used to be you had to have those videos, and now everybody can watch them. So it's really nice to have that
Right.
availability. But
Yeah.
yeah,
She does say, don't watch the video until after you've done the lesson.
I know.
And it's so hard. Yeah.
I have some women last week, especially with this one. They're like, I'm doing the lesson, but I'm watching the video first. I don't care what she says because it's so hard. And
Right.
I did the lesson, and because I am preparing for tomorrow night, so I'm already done with the lessons and watched part of the video today. And I was like, wow, it would have really helped me answer those questions if I had
Yeah.
watched the video.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay, so what do you do for fun aside from seeing your
Mm.
grandchildren and your writing? Do you have hobbies? What do you do? Walk?
Um, Boy, I feel like my hobbies, my grandkids are my hobbies.
Yeah.
And if I had a day, if if I had a day, I would just want to write. You know, I rarely have days. So that's
Well, if you're working 30 hours a week, that would make it really hard.
yeah, yeah.
You
But I
know?
know I used to get up like when I was in the middle of writing my
Mhm.
book, I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning and I'd write and I'd take care of the family and uh I know you just made time for it. And I think once I get back into writing, it'll it'll just come easier. I just haven't done it. It's kind of like getting on the treadmill or doing
Yeah, it's
exercise.
getting back into a habit. It's getting back into a habit. My husband and I we're really weird. We usually are up at 3:30 or 4 every morning. 4 o'clock is
Wow.
our normal, but because he's a associate pastor too, so he's got staff meetings, and so we like to get up every morning and spend the first hour in the Word, and then we
Mhm.
work out. We have a little home gym that we in our garage will work out. So by the
Mhm.
time we're ready to start our day, it's 7 o'clock and we're ready to get hit it. But
Yeah.
by 8 o'clock, we're worthless. Neither
I
one
was
of
gonna
us are
say,
night people. Yeah.
yeah. I wonder what time you'd go to bed, but
Well, we're
yeah.
probably in bed probably closer to 9. By the time we
Okay.
get to, especially in the winter time, it's, hard to,
Gets dark.
yeah.
And
But
yeah.
last night we have a group that comes over Monday night for a book study. So we were in bed late, and then we were at friend's house on Sunday and didn't get to bed till 10:30 and had to get up at 3:30 on Monday. So it was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
you're making the most of your days.
we are, we are. I
That's a
tell
good thing.
people if I do it, I have an 8 o'clock slot for the podcast and then the 4 o'clock slot. So I'm much better at the 8 o'clock slot in the morning than I am at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm usually
Oh,
stumbling all over my words by this time of the day. So,
well, you look awake.
well, thank you. Thank you. Is there anything, so this is something that God put on your heart. I know that. And
Mhm.
I know that it's something that has come from a place of difficulty where you want to give hope and you want to point people to Jesus.
Mhm.
And you have another book in your head. Do you think you're going
Mhm.
to figure out a way to carve the time to get that book done anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah. I mean, it's my deep desire. And you know, I haven't actually, I really haven't prayed about it. So I think that's probably needs to be my first step. Lord, if this is what you want me to do, then give me the discipline to make the time to do it, and just guide me every step of the way. I did that with the first novel, and God was faithful, get me up early in the morning and give me the words to tell the story,
Right.
and the ideas. So that's the thing. I just haven't prayed about this one at all.
Well,
So I need to start doing that.
when you consider that when you're sitting down and actually doing the work, you're working
Mhm.
side by side with the creator,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And
that's
there was
true.
a man named Alan Arnold who taught at a lot of these conferences that I went to. And he
Mhm.
was acquisitions editor for Thomas Nelson Publishing for
Mhm.
fiction at one time. And now he does something else. He's a men's ministry of some sort. But he
Oh,
would say how many people get to sit side by side next to God
true.
in their
Yeah,
workday, and that's a
yeah.
blessing in itself. And I forget that sometimes when
Mm.
I'm on a timeline or I want to get something done. And
Mm.
you have to stop and really reflect on who's actually doing the writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was, there were moments when I was writing, even in this first novel, and you're looking for the right encouragement, the right verse, uh, and God, he'd meet you, he'd point you to the right scripture and the right prayer to put in the story, or for the character that my characters would have some inner prayers.
Hmm.
Um, and he just would right, he's there beside you, helping you, and at the same time ministering
Hmm.
to you when
Well,
you're reading.
I do think, and I believe you're the same for you. Well, this is the book you've written, but every time I write a book, I feel as if the main theme in that book is something I'm struggling with in my own life, in my own walk.
Mhm.
Whether
Yeah.
it's forgiveness or whether it's getting over grief. And you lost
Mhm.
your parents young. I was going to ask you, did you have siblings? Do you have siblings or were you on your own?
Yeah, no, I have two sisters. Yeah, I have an older sister and a younger sister.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
helps, right?
It does. It does help. We were all in different cities. So, yeah, it, you were still far apart, but we were close. And I think we all dealt with it differently,
Yeah.
you know.
You ever thought about writing a book with three sisters? I have three sisters myself. I have three
Oh,
sisters.
fun.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I've thought about, it'd be interesting to delve into trying to write it because we're all so different. Our personalities
yeah.
are nothing alike, and it would be
Uh-huh.
kind of interesting to do
That would
something
be
like
that would
that.
be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could cause problems too, though, so I don't know. That might not be a good idea. Well, it's been such a pleasure talking to
Uh,
you, Diana. I appreciate you
yeah.
coming here. I hope that
Thank
you're
you.
able to get back into writing and get another book done. This one is beautiful, and I'll put the links in so people can get a hold of it. And do you have a newsletter? Do you write a
I
newsletter?
do have a newsletter. Yep, at my website, Dianna Lanser. If they just Google Dianna Lancer, it'll pop up.
I'll put that in the notes. I'll put that in
Okay.
with your website so they can get that. Do you have a giveaway? Do you have a lead magnet for your newsletter?
The 7 chapters of my book that were left out, and so
Okay.
they're kind of like when Maya was young in Australia.
Okay.
So. And it's actually the my most favorite chapter that I have ever written about in the book is in that part. I had to just cut that out, but it was like, oh,
I know it's
it
like,
was my favorite
I know it's
one.
hard when you have to let go of it. It's like your baby.
Yeah,
It's been a
yeah.
pleasure, and I wish you the
Um,
best on
thank you.
everything with your book.
Thank you.
And
So good to meet you and talk with you.
it's
It's a
good to
joy.
meet.
I'm gonna pick out a couple of your books and read them and
Oh, well, sweet.
write
Thank you.
reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would suggest probably, well, if you like to have the angst,
Oh,
from
do.
the first from the first Apple Hill series, it would be Providence, but
Okay.
from the Bedford County series, it probably would be Shadow Dancing.
Okay. I love that
Uh,
cover. I really love that cover.
well,
Yeah.
after we get off, I'll show you the original cover, and you're not going to believe it. So anyway,
Okay.
we'll see. It's good to meet you. Good luck,
Thank
and it's been a
you.
pleasure. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.